What's up, everybody? Andre Bailey here, live on the internet. You believe that, Frank?
I believe that.
We're on the internet and we're live.
Hey,
Andre
man.
Bailey here with Change Everything Live in our studio at 255 Orange Avenue in beautiful downtown Orlando. We've got Frank Wells here, and we're going to be talking today about how to get inspired. And you're going to really be happy with what you hear. It's going to be cool. Before we get into all that, though, I want you to meet the wonderful cast and crew, starting with Alex. Alex, why don't you talk a little bit about your life, love, and everything you're interested in?
Yeah, well, I'm Alex. I'm the producer, and I live and breathe on this show, guys, and it's amazing, and I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah, I'm Daniel. I'm your audio guy tonight, and looking forward to the show.
I'm Gabriel, and I'm here, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm Nate. I'm the camera guy, enjoying every minute.
Just let me say that was like the worst introductions I've ever heard. I mean, am I paying you guys in pesos or what, man? Like this was terrible.
That was pretty atrocious.
That was terrible. No, I love these guys. So here tonight as our guest, talking about how to be inspired, is someone who inspires me every day he's in town, Frank Wells. Frank, what's up? Woo!
Hey, Andre. Great to
give
be in
him
town.
a very
for all
loud-
of about 6 hours, yeah.
Frank, you live where now?
St. Petersburg, Florida.
St. Pete. And you're here doing some pretty cool community projects that we're going to hear
We're doing some
all
amazing
about
work
tonight.
over here.
But how do you get from here to St. Pete? You take I-4?
I-4, yeah.
I-4, okay. So wonderful. Well, Frank, tell us a little bit about the work you're doing. Let's dive right in. You are working every day on the affordable housing crisis.
Absolutely.
I was going to put on the intro talking with Frank Wells about affordable housing, how to solve affordable housing, homelessness, and world peace.
Right, sure.
Because those things are kind of all related as
if we're
far
going
as
to
how
solve
hard
one,
they
we
are.
might as well solve them all, right?
Affordable
what's the
housing is
point?
a big problem. So what are you doing to solve it? How are you going to get that done by the end of the year?
By the end of the year?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I was going to get done by the end of May. I don't know what I'm going to do with June to December.
I think, by the way, guys, I love these camera angles. These are beautiful. Alex, you're an artist. It's beautiful stuff. You can't see what I see. Now,
I know.
now someone
Disappointing
take
me.
Frank's phone and get the show shared. It's unbelievable. Frank's
I got it.
wife and kids need to be able to see him.
Yeah, Frank needs to have a wife and kids, so
Oh,
let's get to
sorry.
work on that too, Internet.
You know, the internet, I've heard, Frank, can solve the lack of wife and kids.
Right, well.
I've heard it happen there
I'm
before.
on Amazon.com right now looking for a wife and kids. Let's see what happens.
Now, what is the percentage of people that have found their spouse on the internet now? What do we think that is? Everyone, give me a guess. Let's take guesses here real quick. No, I'm going to go with 45% of the folks out there have found their spouse on the internet.
Now, are we
nowadays.
counting internet dating, that whole kind of thing?
Yeah, like you met your
Not
spouse
just like
on the internet.
mail order internet something.
All right, hand him your phone. He's going to get your
Good
share this
luck.
on his page. What do you think? What's your guess? By the way, how's the sound, guys? You like the sound?
I'm gonna guess we're at like 2% or something. I think it's
No.
a very low number.
Hey, Philip Deems, introduce yourself. Let's show Philip here.
Hey, I'm Philip Deems, and
That-
I'm here supporting Andre Bailey.
So,
Anything I can do to support this guy.
so Philip actually thought that. Actually, show Philip again. Philip actually thought that there was a Jason Mraz impersonation contest tonight, and so that's why you see him dressed in that. What would you call that, Frank? Like a pseudo Hawaiian, pseudo millennial,
It's like a
pseudo
pseudo
stoner.
Guayabera. Yeah, it's a lot of pseudos.
Those fake cons, the quasi cons.
There's a lot going on there. You know, Jason.
I
Jason
almost feel
Mraz-
like we should be in Ybor City, and he should just Guayabera that up and
Totally.
have a cigar and have a little cafecito.
It was a
That'd be very nice.
Any Jason Mraz fans in the house? Any Jason Mraz fans? Jason Mraz is a classic example of why you should never get a girlfriend or get married when you're an entertainer, especially when you have to write music. Because, you see, if you know Jason Mraz, like, he wrote all his good songs, I'm Yours, some of these other classics, quite a long time ago when he was single and touring and living that crazy life. Now he's I think married and all his music shit. That's why Justin Timberlake's music went to shit, because Jessica Biel. It's all her fault. Now Jessica Biel is awesome,
Sure. It's a problem we should all have, Andre.
but she ruined. Have you heard his new album? I mean, it's terrible. It should not have been legal to put out that album. It's terrible. Now, I have to tell you, there were 25,000 people at the Amway Center last night. It was unbelievable. And I think one or two of them have ever been tweeted by Justin Timberlake, and I am one of them. So just remember Justin
then.
Timberlake? Yeah, he tweeted. So we did a video on homelessness.
Oh, that's right.
Yep,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
we, I was out.
Forgot about that
Yeah, Frank,
connection.
I was
Yep.
out. Do you figure his phone out? It's crazy, right?
Let me reboot it. We'll see what happened.
You might want to try that.
Yeah,
This is why you get an Apple product. I'm telling you. Like,
Yeah.
Apple's the best. So I was, talking about Justin Timberlake a few years ago. Hey, Park, see if you can find the Justin Timberlake Rethink Homelessness. Put that in. So probably about 3 years ago, Justin, I'm out for a jog, because obviously you can tell I'm a spectacular athlete, triathlon, otherwise known as I run like once a month. But I was out for a run, and I get a text from one of my team here, and it's the new Justin Timberlake video. And pull it up on the screen, Bart. Gabe. So go up to the top. Show where close the video. Show like that. Yeah. So drop the volume down. Don't drop the volume all the way down. So Frank, we are. I'm out for a jog, and someone sends me. Pull up his original video, the one that we based this off of. So Justin drops this video. What's the song called? Can't Stop the Feeling. His original version of it, and I can tell it's all these different people dancing to the song he just put out.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, what he's trying to do here is copy Pharrell Williams and Happy.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yep,
it's
yep.
that whole deal. So what that means is he's going to have people create homages to this song. Like people put their own version of it together, and
Right. Yep.
then that's what he's going for. That's how his record label's trying to promote the song. So I get this idea that we would. Yeah, this is the original version of it right here. All these different people dancing to the song. So I get this idea. Let's have real folks in our community who were homeless show themselves dancing, and it shows a little bit of their story of why they were homeless.
I never knew that's how this came together.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
go back to our video, Gabe. And so this was the kind of the motivation, but then ultimately the idea was that they would show their story. Fast forward like 60 seconds in. They'd show their story and show themselves. I was homeless 5 years, 7 years, and then all of a sudden they're in their home and they're dancing.
Right,
So we
right.
put this video together and put it out. About 2 weeks goes by, and I'm in Cress having a meeting about 4:00 in the afternoon. I was with Oscar Anderson, lobbyist.
Are you kidding
I was
me?
with
I
Oscar
love
Anderson.
Oscar. He's the best.
Lobbyist with Southern Strategy Group.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my phone starts blowing up.
Wow.
Justin Timberlake tweeted and put on his Facebook, and you knew it was him. Philip, you knew it was him because it was misspelled. It was all misspelled. It wasn't his publicist. He
Right.
put out congratulations.
Congratulations, Andrea Bailey.
Andrea. No, I think he put Andrea Bailey. But yeah, we had them
Classic
dancing.
misspelling.
So I'm sitting here ragging on Justin Timberlake's bad music, but I guess I should have more respect. So Frank, enough about
So,
Justin
Andre.
Timberlake. What's up with you, man?
Hey, we are working hard to solve housing affordability over here
Yeah,
in Central Florida.
So is housing expensive?
So we just saw some numbers earlier this year that of the top 25 markets in the country, Orlando is in last place for housing affordability compared to incomes in the area.
So why is that?
So we have relatively low incomes in the area because we're a hospitality tourism based market. So we don't have a lot of tech companies. We're not paying Google kinds of wages around here. At the same time, everybody wants to live in Central Florida. This is a gorgeous place to call home. And so housing prices are fairly high, moderately high. Incomes are kind of low, and the proportion between those two is really difficult for folks who call this home.
So how do we solve that? You work now for an organization called Bright Community Trust that's based out of St. Pete?
Bright Community Trust is based out of Pinellas County, Florida. Yep. We work around Tampa Bay, and we're expanding over here to serve Orlando and Central Florida. So Bright Community Trust is a regional housing trust. So we work on all different kinds of housing affordability projects. That could be something for folks with low incomes. That might be workforce housing for your nurses and teachers and firefighters, police officers. We work on housing for homeless folks sometimes. We're working on housing for veterans sometimes. And we're really trying to lead a conversation about what a regional housing affordability strategy looks like.
You know, housing's expensive, man. I have been looking, I'm going to be moving back downtown in the next few weeks, looking at just renting an apartment downtown. It's sick. The average apartment, I want to say downtown, 3-bedroom, is like $2,200-$2,300 a month.
Right. And if we say that to be affordable, you should spend no more than 30% of your income.
Well, I make millions of dollars off of
Right. I know that's not a big deal for
selling
somebody
cocaine,
as a
so,
celebrity
you know,
like
I'm good
Andre
at
Bailey, but
so.
for
I
maybe
don't
some
sell
of the rest of
cocaine.
the guys in the
I think we
room.
do the show.
Yeah, I mean, how do you think we afford all this fancy equipment? I mean, I'm just telling you, that if you see a parachute come down, that's, you know,
That's
Pablo-
how we're
Pablo
leading,
dropping
leading on
our
homelessness. I
work
see.
later. So.
Okay, I'm going to hand my phone back over to somebody here, and they're going to try to
Frank's going to get
like
us.
it again. I have rebooted. If it still doesn't like Andre, then we're just going to call it a terminal condition, and that's that. But
So you now, how many homes have you guys been involved in creating or building in St. Pete or in Tampa, greater Tampa area?
so we have about 500 some odd multifamily. So those are apartments, condos, townhouses, that kind of thing, and about 70 some odd single family homes in the trust. So those are all different kinds of
Bless
projects.
you, Gabe.
Yeah, that was
was
fairly
violent.
loud right in my ear, right? Yeah. Those get developed all different kinds of ways. So some of those, we find a contractor and we build one house. Sometimes we were partnering with a nonprofit to develop an apartment where half the units, say, go for folks with lower incomes. Sometimes we're working with for-profit developers where 80% of the units in an apartment complex are straight up market rate, $2,200 for a 3-bedroom, but 20% are set aside for working families.
How many homes do we need to create, build, for us to have affordable housing in Central Florida? I remember, before you answer that, I remember being at your board meeting, and we had an amazingly interesting conversation.
Yeah, should I share
Share-
this story?
share your version of it.
This is yeah. I'm going to share the anecdotal version of this now. This has gone down in history
Well,
as
let me say, Frank brings me in to his board meeting of Bright Community Trust. There's probably 20 leaders there, all affiliated with his affordable housing nonprofit, and they bring me in to help motivate or share a little bit about how they might be able to bring this mission to scale, affordable housing.
right, and that's really what our interest in Andre particularly, right, is what you did over here to lead on homelessness, to really catalyze a whole community around a major issue, and I thought this is really what we need to be talking about, is not incremental stuff, but really big picture
All right,
stuff.
so I want to tell the story because I think it's interesting. So Frank brings me in, and he's like, okay, let's figure out how to motivate this board of directors to build as many houses for folks in need as possible. You know, if you think about you're running a charity that helps the hungry or helps the homeless or works on the environment, works on the arts, or in your case, works on housing, how do you really inspire? We're kind of talking about that subject here today. How do you inspire people to really do the most for those in need or do the most with their life? So I played a dirty trick on them. I had them take out a piece of paper. They had just got done in this board meeting bragging about, and rightfully so, that they got a contract to build 60 homes, right? 60?
46.
46 homes, same thing. There was a 6 there. 46 homes for people in need in St. Pete. And it was going to be like 7 million you were going to get to do that, or 9 million?
Something like that.
Something like that. And it was great. It was one of the biggest investments the community had made in your charity. I thought it was fantastic. And I asked you, in your team, how many homes do you need to build to solve the affordability crisis and help every family get a home and be stable and have that starting point for their life in St. Pete. And the number was
12,000.
12,000. So in this board meeting, they were bragging, and rightfully so, about having now the resources to build 46 houses. And they said that 46 was short 11,954.
Oh.
So that's all they were short, is 11,954 houses. So I said to them, all right, we're going to do an experiment. Everybody take out a piece of paper, a blank sheet of paper, and I want you put it in front of you, and I want you to write down your name on the top of this piece of paper. All right? Now, underneath there, I want you to write down the 10 people who you love most in the world. Wife, daughter, 10 people you love most in the world. All right, now fold that piece of paper and hold it in your hand. Everybody in the room did it. And I said, okay, now I've got to tell you something that is wild. You might not believe it, but it's true. And it's this. I am actually not Andre Bailey. I'm an alien deity from another planet, and I have all the power in the world. I have like godlike power. And I've decided, in sitting and listening to your human meeting on affordable housing, that I need to motivate you to do more than 46 houses. I need to motivate you to do the 12,000 that you say needs to happen to help people in need. And here's how I'm going to help you and motivate you. If you do not, in 3 years, create 12,000 homes, not 46, hold up that piece of paper that you just wrote on, the 10 names, the people you love. If you don't create 12,000 homes in 3 years, everyone on that piece of paper is going to die, and you're going to die last. And everyone in the room is
Super
like,
inspiring, right?
What the heck is going on here? And so I kind of break character for a second, and I say, just roll with me a second, everyone. I'm going somewhere.
It's a thought experiment.
It's a thought experiment.
Yeah.
And I said, let's say, as ridiculous as that sounds, and it is ridiculous, that was true. That all of a sudden you were in a position where if you did not build 12,000 homes, that everyone you knew and cared about would perish and would die. Suddenly, in that moment, if we put up, those white pieces of paper with sticky on them that we put the notes on, suddenly, if you had to write out the kind of people you'd need to get involved, the governor, the president of all the companies, we'd need this amount of money, we'd need to change these laws.
Right.
Suddenly, no matter how high Mount Everest was to climb, it would seem like something that we would be trying to do.
That is right.
And so it was interesting. It was just a psychological experiment that sometimes when it comes to inspiration, I love being inspired by positive things. Everyone does. But sometimes, Frank, I think what I've seen in your work is you're often inspired by thinking about the results of what happens when we aren't effective in doing
Absolutely.
our work, right? So, and I took it to an extreme in that analogy.
And now I want to tell you the distilled version of this.
Okay.
Because I think your version's more accurate. But let me tell you how I tell the story now.
Okay.
Because I think you'll want this. So our CEO, Anthony Jones, was talking about these 46 homes and very excited. This is a really cool model. 20% of the units are for low-income folks. 20% are for moderate-income folks. The 60% that are market rate are going to subsidize the lower income ones. So this is a great social enterprise kind of example. Super exciting. And Andre says, wow, cool. So not a housing guy, not from Pinellas County. Is 46 homes going to move the needle on the need for affordable housing in Pinellas County? And Anthony laughs and says, no, that number's probably more like 12,000. And Andre says, so are we here to have a conversation about where the next 46 houses are coming from, or where the next 12,000 houses are coming from? Because those are two different conversations for two different organizations, and you're here today to decide which one you want to be when you grow up.
That is what I said. But I will tell you, Frank, that I like that kind of inspiration at times. I wouldn't say that's negative, but it's more real inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that because, especially when you do work where people's lives are dependent on what you're doing, I think it's sometimes important to motivate yourself, again, not with how you're going to be, but how the people affected by what you're doing is going to be. Let me just real quickly say hello to Carter, Lewis, my boy Chris Castro is watching. Chris, what's
Castro,
up?
what's up, man?
Jovan, what's up? Rhett. Anybody out there, if you have a question for Frank Wells, just throw it out there, a question for me. We'll answer questions live here in just
I
a
have a
minute.
question for you, Andre.
Sure.
On that list of 12 people, was I on there? Because you told us all before the show that you love all of us.
No, it was only 10, and so you were 11. So you know, it's like that scene. It was like that scene in Titanic where there's only so many people, Alex, that will fit in the boat,
In the lifeboat.
in the
Yeah.
lifeboats, and it's women and children first.
This is the last
man.
show that Andre is going to be
Okay,
doing.
it's
He was the
women and
violin
children
player?
first.
He went down with the ship. Yeah.
You know, Titanic. I think one of still the top 5 grossing movies of all time, top
Oh,
10.
yeah.
That's a depressing damn movie, man.
So sad.
Oh my gosh, like it's like going so well, and they're like running around the ship, and like it's like love, and the world's great, and then like everyone's dead. It's like it's really really traumatic.
Yeah.
I needed therapy after Titanic,
Well,
and then
that shocking, surprising ending.
and then hold on, like where is it? I mean, I'm all about chivalry, guys. I just want you to know, I'm all about chivalry. Oh, here we go. Highest grossing movies of all time.
There you go.
We got Avatar #1, Titanic, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Avengers coming in at #5.
Wow, look at that already at
What is that?
1.6
2
million.
years old.
It's only
Left there, right?
it's only $500 million short of Titanic,
Yeah, but
and it's only been open for a month, right?
yeah, but Titanic was depressing, man. And by the way, here's where I was going with that. I'm all into chivalry, guys, but who says that I gotta be the one that freezes and sinks, man? I mean, is that the right thing?
Well,
I mean, can't we share those logs?
That would be the
Love
chivalrous
shares.
thing to do.
I'm just saying, Frank, if she,
Well, that was like-
whoever she is, loves me enough, we will try to weigh them logs down together. That's all I'm saying.
Who was the
Kate Winslet.
wealthy? No, not that one. The wealthy woman who said she could have evacuated, but she stayed with her husband.
I don't know,
We've
but I
been
like
together
her.
for-
I like her a lot, whoever she is.
50 years in life, we're gonna die
Whoever she
together.
is, I really like her a lot.
Yeah, no, that's a true story.
Phillips said my Trump impression's getting better.
It is.
Frank's a big Trump supporter.
Oh,
I mean,
Oh, you're Trump's
gigantic,
thing.
the biggest,
he's got his "Make America Great
huge,
Again" hat
huge.
hidden inside of his Copenhagen pouch next to him. So Copenhagen.
That's,
Did anybody get the
all
old
true.
school North Carolina tobacco reference there? By the way, who does
I
dip?
did. I'm old.
Are there people that still dip? Is that a
Yes,
thing?
that is actually still a thing.
Yes.
You got to get out of the big
It's
city,
Orlando.
boy, and come hang out in some out in the country and meet some folks that still dip. That's still a real thing.
Well,
Yeehaw!
all right. So the show's gone off the rails. Frank, what inspires you? What do you do to get inspired every day?
This work that we're doing is so inspiring, Andre. I mean, you look at the numbers. 12,000 was a good start kind of number. We really know that the number in Pinellas County alone is 82,000 households spend more than half their income on their housing costs.
Mm-hmm.
When you spend more than half the money you make on housing, good luck affording a car. If your car breaks, if you do have one, you can't afford to fix it. If you can afford to fix it, you probably can't pay the power bill this month. You're for sure not buying good, healthy food for your kids. You can't get them any kind of additional educational opportunities. All that's out of the question. So, housing costs being out of control have so many other kinds of consequences. We've got so much work to do. So I go to sleep late and wake up early and get right at it because this work is really, really inspiring. There's so many cool stories out there that really touch your heart and make doing this work so vital.
Let's talk, because we were talking about this a little earlier. The most inspirational music, movies, clips, poems, whatever it might be. What do you think are some of the most inspirational cultural pieces, icons of our lifetime? So I'll start. I am an occasional runner. I don't do it much. But I have been known to, and this is true, to run and listen to the Rocky soundtrack. And so, yeah, that's Frank had a bug on him. It was pretty amazing. I hope we got that because, like,
I really hope so.
Yeah, it was like
It
right
was-
in your eye. But pull up that Rocky clip. Let me show you. Don't want some volume. Rocky, and by the way, if you're a Rocky fan, there's nothing like Rocky 4 either. The montage in Rocky 4. Look at this. See, Drago is working, Frank.
Right, very
It-
high tech,
High tech.
very sophisticated. And,
and-
here's Rocky doing it raw.
Doing it old school.
Yep, absolutely.
Bricks, snow,
No spandex.
no spandex.
It's a wonder he won that fight without spandex.
You know what's interesting is Rocky was actually Sylvester Stallone actually dating Brigitte Nielsen during this movie. I think they met either during this movie or while he was filming that movie Cobra. Remember Cobra?
Yeah.
You remember Cobra?
Wow.
That was a great flick. So, all right, you can drop that down there. I mean, what does sawing some wood have to do with winning? I mean, like you see, like Floyd Mayweather training with like all this advanced equipment. He's not sawing wood. He's not running through the snow. But the
But
sound.
have you ever met anybody who works with their hands for a living? I mean, you can pump iron in the gym all you want and then go meet a carpenter, and those arms are like iron. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's true. So Rocky, very inspirational. What about you? What inspired you from movies, music? Is there anything that inspires you? You want Gabe to pull up? The Sound of
man.
Music. I feel alive with. Is that how it goes? No.
The hills are alive.
The
with
hills
Sound
are-
of Music. Yeah.
Hills are alive.
Alive with the sound.
I'm an opera guy, Andre. So
All right,
I don't
what,
know.
What,
if
do you want? Pull up. We can pull up whatever you got. What inspires you?
All right. Let's go find Jose Carreras.
Ooh.
The Improviso.
Let me see
IMPRO
what Gabe's skills are. here. Let's see if we can find this.
VVISO.
Google's dangerous.
Yeah, Google's dangerous. That's it. The second one there.
Let's see what we got here. All right, I'm imagining myself 5 a.m.
Right? These are
out on the road.
historic Roman baths out here at Caracalla.
Nice.
The Improviso here, in this opera, he's a poet, and he says to this woman, "I love you." And she says, "What do you mean you love me? You just met me." And he improvises this poem on a spot. This is like old school rap, right?
This is Italian, right?
This is Italian, yeah.
Philip, what do you think?
He says love is the most
Gangster?
pure sentiment in the whole world. So listen, young woman, here's what love is all about.
But see, the problem is, I just can't imagine like sitting down to bench press, and like I got 245s,
You asked what inspires me, not what I work out to.
It's a $1.30. Right.
buck 30,
Yeah.
right? Like, I just don't feel that.
I do. I like this.
Philip Deems works out to this.
Too hot right now. No, I am.
Philip, do you do jazzercise still? I think Philip Deems still does
look at him.
With
jazzercise.
my Jason Mraz hat?
Yeah. He is actually wearing leg warmers under the table. I don't know if you can get that on
All
camera.
right, that's
but-
great, Gabe. Enough
Oh,
of
no,
that.
those are his legs. My bad.
All right,
Dude, I dig this. I totally dig this.
so I'll give you another one. So, I know you guys will struggle to believe this, but I played basketball in high school, and the part that you will believe is that I was terrible. But I played with some good people though. But I was terrible. So, 11th, 12th grade, times were getting tough. I didn't know if I want to keep playing, and so I went by myself to see at the movie theater during the summer of going from 11th to 12th grade, Rudy. By myself. We'd just come out in the theater, and Rudy was inspirational, man. Like pull up Rudy up. Rudy's pretty badass here. So Rudy is the true story of Rudy Rudiger. Whoa, I don't think that's it, buddy. That's Gabe's.
Putting Gabe to work today.
Yeah.
That's a pre-roll.
So this is the true story of Rudy Rudiger, and he walk-on player. I think he's like 5'5", $150, and he wound up playing for the Irish. Hear that music? See, that's some run into music right there. I'll show you the crescendo right here. This is where it gets really good, Frank. So Rudy's now in the game.
Right.
It's the moment of his life. He gets
7 seconds left.
7 seconds left. He gets one play. His whole life has led up to this moment. The music is cascading around him.
Yeah.
The coach peers on. He says, what can happen in this one moment? Rudy drops into the three-point stance. That guy right there, they showed he was like an old Irish player who
Yeah.
didn't make it, who was living. The clock snaps. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I think Frank's crying, everybody.
Oh, that was
I
so moving.
see a tear. So I
He
watched.
made the tackle.
So I watched this in the theater. It was life changing. So I have this soundtrack. I'll run and work out at some Rudy every now and then. I got the Rocky soundtrack, Rudy. Carter, 135 pounds. What are you talking about? Did he weigh 135? All right, you can get rid of that. So, what about Black Panther? Black Panther was pretty inspiring.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, Frank, you
I know.
now, at
tragic.
this point, if you haven't seen Black Panther, I think that's racist. I'm just saying. I didn't want to take the show down an uncomfortable road, but I just wanted to say what everyone out there is thinking, that Frank hasn't seen Black Panther, and so it's racist. So, I'm kidding. Come on, Frank.
Yeah,
Come
I'm sure
come
that's
on.
what most of my friends are thinking.
Frank, actually, the joke there is Frank actually goes to an African-American church. So,
I do.
Yeah. Tell us about
African
your
Methodist
church.
Episcopal. Yeah.
You play the organ, right?
Piano. Yeah.
Piano.
Yeah. They let me sit in once in a while. Let's be clear. Most of the music that happens,
So
there's a
Frank-
pianist, an organist, a drummer. They go to town.
Frank, check him out. Look at the suit. Look. Frank shows up, and are you like the only white guy there?
I'm often, the only white guy or one of a couple.
Okay. And so
Yep.
Frank shows up, plays piano in an all-black church,
Yeah.
and he still hasn't seen Black Panther. I'm just saying. Like that's not acceptable. So
Yeah. I'll have to work on
we're,
that.
we're gonna leave and go see Black Panther immediately.
Yeah.
No, but Black Panther, I'll tell you, in all seriousness, Black Panther, one of the best movies, especially movies that tried to make a statement. I thought Black Panther made the statement it was trying to make and did it in a very entertaining way, but also did it in a profound way. It's hard even to explain. You guys all seen it? Ever seen Black Panther? So
Everybody but me.
Everybody
I
but
got the
you.
message. Got the message.
I don't wanna-
Oh, there you go.
yeah, and Frank, I think you and I talked about this before, but it's a superhero movie, and so it's got all
Yeah.
the kid comic qualities to it, but then it also has a deeper story to it about I don't know how to even describe it, but just has a deeper message of equality and overcoming that is pretty amazing.
All that chilling shit is over with. I'm the king now. Get those blades in the air.
What's his name? Michael B.
Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan is the man, right? He is the man.
He's Creed's son in the Rocky spinoff.
Yeah, turn that mic towards you, by the way, so we can hear
Yeah,
you.
he's Creed's son, and he plays Creed's son in the Apollo spinoff movie.
And there's a Creed 2 coming out.
There is.
Creed 2
The
coming
first
out.
one was very good too.
Yeah, I liked Creed a lot.
The challenge is not complete.
All right, Black Panther.
Good stuff.
Frank hasn't seen it. Please, everyone out there, I just want to urge you, please don't read anything into that. Like, just because Frank hasn't seen Black Panther, he goes to an all-black church, so those two things balance out. That's what I'm saying. So,
I appreciate that.
yeah. Frank, what else inspires
Shout out
you?
to Greater Mount Zion AME
Greater
Church.
Mount Zion. We need to have
Yeah.
them in here.
We totally do.
Those people would inspire us.
You would love my family at church. Yeah, they're great.
I went to Osceola High School in Osceola County, Cowboys with a K. But my community very much, when I lived there, when I grew up there, very African American and white and some Hispanic, but it was African Americans and whites mixed together, and
I find it pretty remarkable that Dr. Martin Luther King said over 50 years ago that the most segregated hour in America is Sunday morning.
And it still is.
And it's still true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredibly true.
Yeah, racism, growing up, because all of us in Osceola County were there's not a lot of rich people. It's a very rural community.
Yeah, right.
So we're kind of knit together in the fact that we were, middle class or in the struggle at some level.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand racism until I was a little older, got out, and I was like, wow, it's, when you...
the way I explain it to people is you and I are going to play blackjack, right? I give myself a deck of cards. I give you a deck of cards, but I'm going to take all your jacks, queens, and kings out of it. Mm-hmm. Let's play, right? You probably don't want to bet your deck against my deck. Any given hand, you might win. Barack Obama might get elected president of the United States once, but structurally, I'm way more likely to win because the deck's stacked in my favor.
Yep.
I think that's systemically what we've got going on in a lot of our communities. It's not that no individual, no family is ever going to succeed, but the balance is tilted in favor of guys like you and me.
I have two daughters, 17 and 18. What I think is encouraging about equality and the challenge of racism in our country. And our country, whether we want to admit it or not, has some challenges, with racism. But younger folks don't understand racism. My daughters, they're like, what? Like why would blacks, whites, Hispanics, people from other countries, the gender issue, like, why are we fighting about that? Is that like a thing? So Generation Z, which is those who are like 19, 18 and younger, the stats say when it comes to racism and equality, they only notice race when there isn't diversity. So
Right.
That's encouraging. That's encouraging. The younger folks, they're going to get it right for us, Frank.
I sure hope so. I again still think it's more about dismantling the systems that privilege some groups of people over other groups of people.
Well, tell us about show us your safety pins here. What are these safety pins?
Can you see my
Look at these
safety pins?
These are...
You've got the monitor, so I have
Red
no idea if
Adams,
you can
K-Town.
see my safety pins. I wear safety pins for a safe person. So if you're African American, you're immigrant, you're LGBTQ, you're looking for a friend in the room, somebody with safety pins on your side.
That's fresh.
So I carry spares and give them out. You want one, Andre Bailey?
No, I'm good. Thank you. No, I'm kidding. I will take one. So Gloria Van Dusen hasn't seen Black Panther, and Gloria, I promise I won't say anything.
Gloria, I thank you. I don't know you, but it's good to have a little solidarity. up
Rhett
there.
Adams from K-Town, he's on. So Rhett Adams was white guy on the basketball team, and Rhett had. Do you remember those shoes that like would elevate your calves and you would jump around in them? They were. You know what I'm talking about? Like they were shoes that like made you sit on your tippy toes and you jump in
Oh,
them.
I do remember
and they
these,
work
yeah.
out your calves. So Rhett Adams had a pair of those shoes, and he would like work with these crazy looking shoes to make you jump higher. And he played basketball. Wouldn't you know it? By the time he was like senior year, he was like 5'11". He could like dunk the ball behind his back. So those shoes actually absolutely work. So Rhett, what's up? Nice seeing you.
I gotta say, you got to be careful about technology because, so I'm going to tell you a classical music story, but Schumann, that you may know, the composer, was a pianist, concert pianist, and he invented this thing to stretch out his hand so he could more easily play big chords, and he kept stretching and stretching and stretching, and he ripped ligaments in his fingers, tendons, and couldn't play after that.
Ooh, that's no good.
Yeah, that's no good. So, you could, I suppose, bounce your calves into overdoing it and then not be able to jump. So
Yeah, I think Rhett ripped out both of his calves, and he's in a wheelchair now. No, I'm totally kidding. I made that up. That's a lie. So, and
always got to one up my story.
I
man.
know. Sorry. So coming back to Bright Community Trust, where are you guys headed here in Orlando? I saw an article that you're partnering with some folks to do affordable housing here.
Right. So
what are you going to do here? What's your plan?
The most immediate target for our work is the communities of Paramore, several neighborhoods there right around the new Creative Village campus that's close to the Amway Center, the Orlando City Soccer Stadium. When you build a new university campus and you plop 7,500 university students into somebody's backyard, you got to be concerned about what's going to happen to the current residents of the neighborhood, because that's a historically African-American neighborhood, has relatively high poverty, high unemployment for our city here, and only a 10% home ownership rate. So if 90% of the people are renters and you put 7,500 students in there who are also going to be competing for those rentals, you got to worry about what's going to happen to the current residents of the neighborhood. So we've been in dialogue over the last almost year and a half with the Central Florida Foundation, City of Orlando, Orange County, Valencia College, UCF, talking about what can we do to preserve housing affordability there? How can we help the residents stay there? How can we help more folks make the transition from being renters to being homeowners? Because we know that one of the great paths to a better life for you and your family is to be able to buy a home and build some equity, build some household wealth. That really changes outcomes for people. So we, in partnership with those partners and another number of others around the community, are launching a regional housing trust. Our first focus will be there in Paramore. So we'll be getting off the ground with some new single-family homes, also working on some multifamily rentals. Some people aren't in a position yet to be able to buy a home, but we still need more rentals there. So we're working on both single-family and multifamily projects, some home ownership, some rentals, trying to increase opportunities, especially for people that are already there in Paramore. But we're really laying a foundation for at least a 3-county regional approach to housing affordability here, because we know that that issue is way, way bigger than just Paramore.
It would seem that affordable housing might be a tough issue for communities to get solutions for, because of the fact that I mean, how do you as a citizen impact that? You know, it doesn't seem like it's within your grasp. You know, when you talk about gun rights or gun violence, someone could say to themselves, well, if I want to impact this issue, if they believe that that's important, well, I can vote for the candidate that supports my position. I can have or not have a gun,
sure,
and personally apply what I believe to my own life. When it comes to affordable housing, if you're the average person out there, you know maybe there's a problem, but what can you do to make it different?
That's really challenging.
You see,
because,
maybe where
absolutely.
that's a practical challenge. So
It absolutely is, and certainly we need a lot of advocacy on these kinds of issues.
there you are, right on the screen there.
Hey, look at that, Bright Community Trust.
I think they should have put a full color spread of you in there, Frank, and that would have got
Well, we're working on that.
the Google would have popped up at least 12 levels if we could have had a Frank Wells full spread in there.
You
I mean,
can
not
only tell the
not
Orlando
full
Sentinel
spread. I mean, just like
so
full
much
color.
Right, absolutely. It is difficult for any individual to really impact this issue, except that we can get better educated on this and start to learn about what some of the tools are in here, and then we can really advocate. I was just at a great forum last night in City of St. Petersburg. We had, 150 citizens that came out to talk about our city budget that we're in the process of building, and fully half of the people in the room, they said, okay, stand up, what are you here to talk about? Half the people in the room were from an organization that's there to advocate grassroots local citizens to talk about housing affordability. And I bet you 2/3 of the people that went up to the microphone and actually said something to the mayor, the city council chair, the city's budget director said, housing is too expensive in the city. We got to do something about that. It impacts me. It impacts my family. It impacts my kids' ability to get a job and stay here in town, not have to move somewhere else chasing a job, putting down roots here and raising a family here. It also impacts our businesses. That's the flip side of this, that housing affordability becomes a big economic bottleneck. How do you grow a business here if your employees can't afford to live in the city? How do you bring a new business to town, especially a new major employer that wants to find housing for 500 folks? If you could recruit a business like that to Orlando, where are they going to live? That's a real challenge in the region, and those are the kinds of big picture things that we're looking to address.
Well, I'm rooting for you. No, but I'm not trying to bring Rudy back up. I'm just saying I'm rooting for you.
Yeah.
I think you're going to do well. And Frank's likable. That's the one thing I would say that I thought about Frank when I first met him. He's very likable. People meet Frank and they're like, this guy's cool. But he's not cool in like a dickish way. You meet people who you're like, they're cool, but they're kind of a dick. Frank's more like...
I think it comes from being beat up by those people all the way through middle school and high school. So I have a remarkable appreciation for the flip side of the coin.
I'm just telling you, Frank's he's cool, but he's nice. Now, Alex, you meet Alex, you're like, this guy probably would have bullied me in elementary school,
Well, come on, my given name is Francis. I got bullied a lot.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell you.
Actually, both you, Francis, you and Alex both have girls' names. So, I'm sure you both got bullied. So that's...
I'm sure you can't relate to that at all, Andrea.
Is this still on? Check, Mike. Someone cut my mic off. No, yeah. My name is Andre, Andrae.
Oh,
but
right.
I
always type it
every
wrong.
single year, first day of school, Alex, Andrea, are you here? Oh, Andre. Oh, sorry. And so like,
Yeah.
I was Andrea the
Francis
first day
Wells.
of school.
Francis is a girl's
Are you here, Francis?
Yeah.
So
Frank, please. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's why we all hang out together and do the show. We've all been
Right.
bullied,
Deeply
and
scarred.
I'm deeply scarred. That's why I watch Rocky movies and Rudy to feel better about myself.
Yeah.
So, Frank, well, we're rooting for you. We're happy for you. We're excited for you, and we want to promote what you're doing. You're a good guy, and we need you. We need affordable housing in this community. All joking aside, if people can't live, they don't have a place to live. How do you have a life? How do you live your life when you don't have a place to live?
Absolutely right.
And
And I want to say, when we say affordable housing, I think you and I know what we're talking about because we've sort of worked in this sector. What we're really talking about is
4 bedrooms, penthouse.
Right, absolutely. What
No?
a millionaire cocaine kingpin like Andre Bailey can afford. Whole different thing. But we're really talking about, can people get a home that's good, safe, healthy, adequate for their family, close to work, close to educational opportunities, that they can afford to make the rent of the mortgage.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize this, again, all joking aside, but I think the stats are that almost 50% or more of people in Central Florida have to spend X amount on their housing. Or like, what are those numbers?
Spend more than 30%. And we consider that kind of the yellow flag when you're spending more than a third of your household budget on your housing costs. That's your housing, your electric, gas, water, sewer, garbage, all that stuff. That's when you're starting to get into trouble. The numbers are probably something like 200,000 households that spend more than half their household budget. That's the real red flag danger zone. We know those people are making really difficult choices about, am I going to eat this month, or am I going to get my medication? Am I going to take the kids to the doctor, or am I going to pay the power bill?
Yep. So what you're doing is important, and we got to figure out ways of messaging it, making it more important to people.
And that's why I point out the difference between saying affordable housing, because affordable housing to a lot of people means public housing, heavily subsidized. What they're not thinking about is the kid who just graduated from UCF who can't find a garage apartment that they can afford to rent, so they're going to move out of the area, and we're going to have that brain drain. We just spent thousands and thousands of our state's dollars educating somebody, a bright young mind, and there they went because they can't afford to stay here.
Well, Frank, we're rooting for you. Thanks for coming
Thanks,
in, man.
Absolutely appreciate it. It's always
Thank
a
you all
pleasure,
for
Andre.
joining us today. For Alex, the team, everyone here, we love you.
Thanks,
See you next
everybody.
week.
TheBrightWay.org. Check us out.
We'll post everything in the comments right now. All your links.
Excellent.
See you soon.